Welcome back, everybody. Thanks ever so much for sticking around. I appreciate it. And so does everybody else here. Listen, I've got an amazing lineup for you this afternoon. First off, I've got a panel. It's how to build a successful esports program in your school or college. And that is going to be hosted by a good friend and colleague of mine, Dom Sacco, who some of you may already know. He's going to be interviewing a couple of teachers from schools and colleges, as well as a student, or an ex-student, I should say. So in a moment, I'll introduce them. But after that, I've also got a Women in Esports panel hosted by Sue Lavasani. She's going to be going through a short presentation with you. After that, I have a safeguarding and inclusive gaming session with Gary, who works for us at British Esports, and also Simon from National Star. And then after that, we have our final session of the day, which is going through the Twitch student program, and that's with Mark Garvey Candela, who is the Director of Student and Education Programs at Twitch. So without further ado, I would love to introduce to the stage Dom Sacco, who will be hosting the panel, as well as Ian Russell from Wycliffe School, Shabna Nika-Taylor from Coventry College, and Tom Hurrell, ex-AGSB student who's now at Loughborough. Welcome, guys.
Hello everyone. Thanks a lot for the introduction, Elliot. I'm delighted to be here. As Elliot says, my name's Dominic Sacco. I've worked at the British Esports Association for 4 years as head of content, and earlier this year I moved full-time to as editor of Esports News UK, and I also work as a consultant helping businesses understand esports and get their strategies right. So Elliot's given us all an introduction. But would you guys like to expand a little bit on your roles just before we jump in? Maybe starting with yourself, Shubs, and then we'll go around.
Of course. So hi, everyone. So I'm Shabna Nika-Taylor. I am the curriculum lead for digital at Coventry College, but I also manage the esports provision that we've had going at the college for the past 3 years. And so, yeah, that's my main roles. Okay,
cool. Ian?
Good afternoon. I teach maths here at Wycliffe College, and I'm also a housemaster of a day house, but I've been running the esports club and the entry into the British Esports Association Student Champs for 3 years now.
Great. And Tom, you've got some background with the British Esports Championships as well, right?
Yeah, I have. Hi, I'm Tom Hurrell. I'm the former AGSB esports student lead, Rocket League finalist back in season 2 in 2019, and now I'm a student at Loughborough University sorting their esports program.
Fantastic. So you guys are really experienced. So you're going to impart loads of great wisdom, I'm sure, on this talk. And my first point is, how can a school or college get started in esports or launch a program? Because I think for people looking on the outside in, esports is this exciting thing, but they might not know where to start. And I know that can be, it's a difficult discussion point to start with, but how can someone get started? Maybe teachers out there that don't know too much about esports.
Do you mind if I go first?
Please do, yeah.
So I think one of the main thing about being so new to esports, so if there were any teachers out there that's so new, doesn't know where to get started, the best place to go is to gauge what the learners are interested in, because from there we can start building the types of games that they might want to compete in, even things like, you know, how to set up a tournament, because it's likely that students will have that kind of prior knowledge about those particular games as well. And that's perfectly okay, because, you know, you might find a situation where staff members are learning more from students and yeah, just that kind of thing. So the first point of action I would suggest is go straight to the students, and it's like, what kind of tournament do you want? And then go from there.
Absolutely. Anything you'd like to expand, Ian, or Tom, from a previous student perspective?
I'll let Ian have a crack first.
Yeah, so we started in the same way. We started with the students. So I had a few students in my house who were doing a lot of gaming. I love gaming. I do a lot of gaming myself. And so I went to them and said, on a weekend, do you want to all come down together and play together rather than all being up alone in your rooms on your own? And then after that, we started launching it as a club, and we found the British Esports Association as a way of letting these people have a competition to play in. and we just started advertising and saying, what do you want to do? How do you want the team to go? How many of you are there? We didn't know, but we just started asking around the students.
And that's the thing, right, Tom, as well, because esports is very community driven. So I think teachers going to the students and letting them lead it, or, you know, suggest a direction, can work pretty well.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the important thing to consider as well is if you have a background in sport, it's not overwhelmingly different to that either. You still need the players. You still need, to an extent, someone who can guide the team or even coach them if you have the resources available to you.
Absolutely. So then once you've got that interest, I guess it's a case of, you know, setting up an after school club or doing some tryouts, just encouraging some teams to get together and get, you know, the facilities sorted. That was one of my points here, was around facilities and funding, because not every school or college has the facilities to do this. What advice would you give to teachers out there that, you know, maybe don't have great PCs?
I was really desperate when this all started not to go to management and start asking for big amounts of money to buy these computers. I didn't know a few years ago how long this would go for, how many children were involved, and I didn't want to spend £20,000, £30,000 on kit that wasn't going to be used again. So I waited quite a long time before going to ask any group for any kind of money, and I didn't like it at the start, because that meant that we could only have students coming who had laptops of their own that could play, and we were relying on them to have their own stuff. That's a high barrier of entry that I wasn't really happy with. But then eventually we have a group of parents, the Parents Association here at Wycliffe, who have funds available to donate to these kind of causes. So I went to them, asked just for £1,000 to buy 2 computers, and then a year and a half later went back and asked for 3,000 more. And now we just have 8 computers that can play the games. But it's just these small little increments, very different. I know we had Queen Mary's on earlier, who have just spent hundreds of thousands on their facility, but I was desperate not to do that and just slowly grow bit by bit with these computers.
Was that Ian? Was that easy, Ian, in terms of, you know, convincing the team and upper management to invest?
We had pretty good support from the other teachers very quickly. I had to explain to a couple of people what esports is, but we had these results of being able to show students who weren't involved in any other school teams, perhaps, finally getting the chance. I've had 57 different students play for a school team across these years so far, so it's easy to show the involvement. But it was quite useful going to the parents to ask for this kind of money, because they're another group that you need to get on board to get involved, to say that this isn't just people gaming and spending hours in front of the computer. This is a valuable thing. So I got to go to the group of parents and put forward a pitch for what we wanted. And then later, because they'd funded it, a group of parents came to use the machines and play and have some fun themselves and see what it was all about.
Absolutely. Julie's put a comment in the chat. Thanks for your comment, Julie, saying every year the STCG Kingston College have a capital bid programme, and curriculum areas can put in a bid for specific resources such as IT equipment. And that's how they secured new gaming room of 20 high-spec PCs, etc. And in their first year, they have 29 students enrolled, so well worth the investment. So, you know, this stuff can happen. It's great to see. Shubs, do you have anything to share on this front? I think Coventry Crosshairs have sort of been leading the way pretty well over the past few years.
I'd like to think so. So I've been actually quite fortunate because I deliver in the not esports, games production courses. And so already we had fairly high spec PCs. And when we did the original kind of digital schoolhouse 3v3 Overwatch tournaments, we had the PCs available so that students could practice. And I guess SLT were just quite curious about, you know, what's this? It sounds exciting, kind of thing, which is great for us. And so we started small, and now, you know, we've just ordered 20 high-spec PCs to be able to run our esports provision. They're currently being installed as we speak, which is very exciting. But that was through a capital bid So we were able to pitch and say, you know, this is what we need. For us, it was more about, like you said, Dom, the drive with the crosshairs and all the things that we've been doing as part of that. Because we've been very much active on social media, it kind of piques the interest of SLT, people external that want to sort of get involved. And we kind of generated that facility through what we've done externally, I guess, outside of the college with the crosshairs.
Mm-hmm. No, that's great to hear. And Tom, I'd be keen to get your views as well, because I know that in the past, I've had students coming to me outside of British Esports saying, Dom, we'd love to enter the British Esports Student Championships or other tournaments, and we can't convince our teachers, and we're miserable because we can't enter and we really want to. So is that, what's been your sort of previous student perspective on that?
I mean, that's a funny one, because I know the teacher I first approached is in chat. Hi, Rob, if you're still with us this afternoon. There will be at least one teacher at your school which will be crazy enough to think it is a good idea. You just have to find that person to cultivate a decent relationship with them. The way we got our PCs in the end was Tech decided at the same time they needed to upgrade their CAD software. So we shared PCs with them for the first year before COVID hit.
Absolutely. And yeah, hi, Rob, as well. I remember meeting Rob at the first British Esports Championships finals, I think it was, back at Insomnia a few years ago, pre-pandemic. We've got about 5 minutes left. So if anyone has any other questions or comments, please do ask them in the chat window, and I'll try to get onto those and cover those. Are there any sort of good examples of best practice or any anecdotes from your programs that you'd like to share? Maybe some of the benefits of having an esports program at your school or college?
I mean, regarding the things that we've done with the Coventry Crosshairs, we've kind of run it like an organisation, which then meant that if students didn't want to compete because they weren't comfortable or they didn't have that confidence to be able to do it, there were other roles that they could play. So we kind of try to replicate the esports ecosystem on a smaller scale. So we have our own sort of in-house marketing team who produce videos, whether it's, we did a video with one of the students who edited together an advert for the esports BTEC that we are running this year. We also do highlight videos. We've just launched our new TikTok account as well that's run by students, so they will collate all the videos from the week, whether it's highlights or scrims that students have been a part of, and they put the videos together. It goes out on TikTok. You know, it's experience for students. And so yes, we've got our marketing team, but then we've got a small coaching team that's made up of students. Last year when we had the BEA student champs, some of the students took part in shoutcasting as well. So they were kind of getting that experience through that, which was really good. But we have our very own stream manager as well. So the person that, you know, is just going to put all the videos together. He's very well sort of, you know, experienced, and he's done this sort of thing for his own channel as well. But we thought, you know, why don't we look at the strengths of our students that don't necessarily want to play and offer that work experience so that they can actually make the most of what we do as Coventry Crosshairs. So I think for us, that's been a huge success, that it's not just about the players. We also offer the opportunities to people that want to do things outside of playing the competition.
Absolutely. Ian, I'm sure you've got more to add there, but we've just had a flurry of questions come in, so I'm going to try and answer these as best we can. Someone from Highcrest Academy said, I'm a complete beginner launching, leading and building our esports provision due to open on Thursday. Any advice much welcomed and appreciated. Maybe you can give one tip each to that person in the chat.
Thank you. Sorry, can you hear me? Yeah, sorry, Neil Stocking. I've launched this, started last year. The decorators have just finished as I go and speak and had a look at them. It looks amazing. The machines are going in tomorrow. I'm not a gamer, but we've got such a massive audience for it. I had to turn classes away because we've only got 15 PCs, but I've got 2 classes have already started essentially. We're going to go year 12 next year. And I'm a little bit lost, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of feeling my way because I don't know much about gaming at all. But the kids know loads, so any support would be much appreciated.
Yeah, go on, Ian. Go on.
My bit of advice, you just said it right there, that the kids know loads. You don't have to be the coach. You don't have to be better than them or higher ranked than them in any of these games. There could easily be a player who knows enough to take on and look after the team as the captain, or call them the coach. What you can do is just arrange the time. When are you going to be there to switch them on, and let them review their own VODs or watch professionals and listen to the voice chats of the professionals and see what they can learn themselves.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Trying to squeeze these questions in here. There's one from, I think, Maltby Academy. Said, hi all. Any advice for secondary school esports versus school firewalls, specifically smooth wall? I mean, that's over my head a little bit because I'm not an IT expert, but any advice there?
Yeah, I think someone put an answer to this in the British Esports chat this morning. I'm trying to find it right now. So yeah, one of the things you can do with Smooth Wall is you can create a category which you can turn on and off when you need it. So you just create one for esports, and then you open up those ports at the times you're doing training or events.
Oh, great. That's very helpful. Thank you, Tom. I hope that helps. And I'll do one more question, and then, any other questions, you can email them to champs@britishesports.org. So sorry if we haven't got onto all of these. AM1N has said, hi, I'm involved with a youth group. Is there any advice you can give to starting a regular esports session? Bearing in mind, unlike schools or higher education, we do not have regular access to classrooms. That might be a tough one, right? Does anyone want to try with that? I mean, could they seek equipment elsewhere, or secondhand equipment or something?
It depends what extent you want to do it in person. If you want to do it in person, I recommend getting in touch with groups like Belong. They run gaming arenas around the country. You might be able to, say, book in once a month to go and have a play there. Otherwise, you might have to reach out to maybe local university gaming societies. They might have equipment or allow you into events.
That's a good idea. I'd say reach out to someone to give you a hand, or ping British Esports an email. They may be able to send you more info. I'm afraid, everyone, that's it. It's 2:25. I could talk for hours about this and about esports. Thank you very much to our guests, Ian, Shubs and Tom, and for everyone listening. Always a pleasure. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event today, and I'll pass you back to Elliot.